This is an original short story from Held Stories, a living archive of quiet human encounters. Although what is written may not be true, it bears truth. Held Stories, Season 1, Episode 4. She watched a single clip and kept writing. Mary noticed the roads were empty once she hit the main thoroughfare. She drove under the speed limit and in the safest lane possible. Arriving at the office building, she began scanning for a parking stall. Everyone wanted to be in the covered parking area. After scanning 4 floors of the parking garage, she made her way to the elevator. Some professionals scurrying about on their daily duties, others on their cell phones. Once on the elevator, she felt like a sardine. So many people lodged into such a confined space. The floor from the elevator was a full loop, and it disoriented her. Mary arrived in her lawyer's office, professionally primped. It was empty so far. Portfolio at one hip and her purse at the other, the receptionist greeted her by name. Advised Miss Cuthbertson would be along shortly and offered tea or coffee. He took Mary's request and went behind the reception area. She waited patiently for the stroke of the hour. Mary seated herself firmly with a neutral posture and almost no expression on her face. The young man brought her tea, smiled, and went about his day. As she shuffled a bit in her chair, she corrected her skirt. Mary glanced at the time. 10 minutes until her appointment. She watched the receptionist out of the corner of her eye. She paid attention to how the young man behind the desk shuffled around, still seated, how he answered phone calls and accepted parcels. "Miss Klein? Please, this way." Her lawyer, Miss Cuthbertson, smiled. "Thank you for seeing me, counselor," she said as she followed Miss Cuthbertson to her office. "You're welcome. Always a pleasure." Miss Cuthbertson motioned for Mary to take a seat. "Tell me more about why you're here. I have a light understanding from last week, but still I'm not too clear." "Well, Frank left with a young woman from my son's hockey team, one of their administrators. This was 3 months ago. I didn't see any warning signs." Mary's hands twitched, holding the portfolio. Miss Cuthbertson kept her gaze high. I wondered, since I lived my life raising our 2 kids, despite being trained as an engineer, I could receive compensation as I now have no real means of maintaining the life I once had. Is that greedy?" Miss Cuthbertson smiled. "Not greedy. There are options. We will have to explore the right one for you." She paused. "I can't, of course, advise you in our first meeting. This is more exploratory, but you might have a case. What I need from you is a list of information. Is your email address still valid?" "Yes, it is." "Good. When I have compiled a list of options, I'll send you an email detailing all the information I need. Don't forget, it isn't bad if you have to recall some of these details, but the more factual we can be, the better your chances." "I understand." Miss Cuthbertson turned to her computer and began typing. She requested dates of specific events. Mary searched her portfolio for the answers, gave which ones she could, estimated the rest. Miss Cuthbertson typed all the answers into each text field, clicking a radio button if it was an estimate. Then came the questions regarding Frank, each answer carefully preserved in the system, checkboxes for estimates. "So you left your last position as a tutor in 1995, correct?" "Yes, I loved the job, but Frank already made good money." "Did he pay for your education?" "Yes, he did. I thought nothing of it at the time, just him trying to swoon me, and it worked." She smiled at the memory. Miss Cuthbertson nodded, entered the response into a text field, and moves on. "So he makes roughly $350,000 per year currently?" "Yes." "Does he have any personal savings, investments?" "Yes, over $1 million professionally invested. I didn't track the numbers." Miss Cuthbertson smiled, asked more questions of Mary, and entered more notes into the system. Mary's legs relaxed, and a deep exhale left her body after several queries. Miss Cuthbertson, pausing her questions, finalized some notes in the system, then turned to face Mary. "Very well, Miss Klein. I'll be in touch with the details. There are several options, but without further investigation, I won't be sure. Please do not sit by your computer waiting for an email from me. Live your life as best you can, maintaining your savings, and prove you are a responsible adult in this equation. It will support you best long term." "Thank you, Miss Cuthbertson. I do appreciate your efforts." "Don't mention it. Let me show you out." The pair left the office. Mary was guided to the front desk again. Miss Cuthbertson mentioned to the receptionist there would be a future meeting, but the date is unknown. He nodded, said farewell to Mary. She glanced at the clock and left the building back to her car. Mary turned the car on but didn't go anywhere for a while. She turned her radio off and closed her eyes. She softly opened her eyes, checked the clock, and pulled her car out of the parking stall. Arriving home, she opened the front door, set her portfolio and purse on the dining room table. Going to the spare bedroom Frank used as an office, she found a notepad and a pen and returned to the table. Pen in hand, scribbling notes on the page, a list began to form. Names, dates, phone numbers she added later. Friends she once knew, ones she still had contact with. She checked her watch. 11:30. She kept writing, scribbling some drawings along the border when her mind wandered. She remembered nights out with the girls, them trying to get her to go home with someone else. She looked up. Trim along the ceiling they used to hang Christmas decorations, the small chandelier above the table they would place pastel bulbs in for Easter when the kids were young. Over to one side was the living room where every Christmas was like window shopping at a major department store. The other side was a bay window overlooking a once manicured backyard where Frank would always romance her. Subtle weeping. She picked up her phone and dialed her realtor. "Yeah, Brad, I'm in." She arranged lunch with him and hung up the phone. She emailed her lawyer and explained her plans to sell the house and downsize to a smaller place. Miss Cuthbertson thanked Mary for the information and agreed. 4,000 square feet was big. The next day came. Brad met with her, described the ideas he had for listing her current house, and fed off all Mary's responses. She explained the sauna, the ample backyard that could be easily manicured, the 3-car garage, and the 4 bedrooms. She explained her desires for a simple house with a chef's kitchen. The house should have a basement she can make use of, finished or not, just not difficult to navigate. After deciding when Brad can view her current place, they stood, shook hands, and he left the coffee shop. Mary stayed and finished her latte, pulled out her phone and texted her 3 closest friends her plans to sell. "Mary, what are you doing?" Sandy fired back after a slight delay. "Selling, like I said." "But I thought you'd retire in that house." "Why?" "Sandy, it's massive. I don't need that much space. Brad, my realtor, explained the options, and I stand to save enough to invest the balance and live peacefully." "But who am I to judge? I wish I were you. Always have. Love you. I have to get back to work." Mary stood, made her way out the door, and tossed her cup into the recycling bin on her way out. Thinking of a smaller house with new memories, a smile crept over her face. Pulling the keys out of her purse, unlocking the door, she noticed a note under her windshield wiper. She pulled it out, sat in her car, and closed the door. It was from the assistant Frank ran away with. "I want to talk, only talk. There's more going on than you realize. Here's my number." Knowing better than to hear the woman's voice, Mary texted her. "Mary here. You wanted to chat?" "Yeah, I posted some videos on a streaming service under private status. I would like your email to add you to the list of who can view them. Each video is time-stamped and some dated back 10 years. None of them are POV. Someone records them all." Mary sent her email address knowing the woman already had it. "Thanks, Mary. Here's the link." After viewing a single clip, Mary closed her laptop. She adds something to her list on the notepad and puts her pen down. After hearing the clock ticking away, she deletes a draft email and spends some time loading the dishwasher. This has been Held Stories. Held Stories is maintained as a living archive of imagined encounters that bear truth. Editions will be made available as they are prepared for those who wish to retain them and support their preservation. For those interested, please visit www.thesetinydimensions.com for more information.